You go on with your life as if it's not even something that's going to happen. Look around you. Look around all the people with you. You will see that they are just, you know, trying to ignore it. The elephant in the room, and everyone knows it, but no one wants to talk about it. In fact, if you do talk about death, which is a fact, in any setting, for example, a classroom or your school or your work, people are going to get scared of you. They'll think that you are a freak, that there's something wrong with you. Yes, if you go, for example, to your workplace and start to talk about death, hey, have you ever thought about death? The guy next to you who hears it is going to go to the boss and say, the guy in that cube over there, you better watch out for him. People are going to get scared. Why are you getting scared about something that is the most obvious fact in our life? So we have knowledge of death, but you see that knowledge is not affecting our lives, it's not influencing our life, nothing. It's just there. So the knowledge is useless without having conviction. It's conviction that actually makes a person change his life. Now, it is true that some knowledge is easy to accept. It's easy to be convinced about. Some knowledge is like that. For example, if I say, that, you know, I, I couldn't come because of traffic. There was a traffic jam. And you're like, yeah, okay, fine. I mean, there's a traffic jam. It happens. It's a weekday, and I was late. So it's not hard for you to accept that. But there are certain knowledges that are difficult to accept, that are hard. And the reason they're hard to accept, and by accepting, I mean being convinced about them, having conviction in them, is very difficult. Very difficult when you see that you have a knowledge that requires you to take upon responsibility or a burden. I'll give an example right now about yourself, and then we'll give historical examples also so that it can truly sink into us. For example, if you are told that you have a cold, a common cold, is it hard for you to accept that? Are you scared? Are you going to freak out? Oh my God, I have a cold? It can't be. No, it's easy for you to accept. Cold, go. All that means is a Tylenol. That's all you need. And you know that maybe a little bit of rest, that's it. The knowledge is not harsh enough to make you freak out and question it and deny it. So let's raise the bar a little bit. In another scenario, you are told that you have COVID. Yes, you're told you have COVID. Your first reaction is, are you sure? Maybe you should get another test because these tests can be wrong. There might be some other reason. What's behind it? So, what happens is that why are you questioning it? What's the difficulty in accepting it? Look at it, because now that knowledge of COVID, if you actually come to terms with it, is going to bring about a certain burden. I'm going to be quarantined. It's contagious. It might lead to difficulty and death. I mean, there's a lot of consequences behind it. So what happens? Our first reaction is to deny it, to say that no, let's look at another way. Maybe there's some problem with it. You see, this is the fear. That's the fear that we have. It's hard for us to accept it. Now, let me raise the bar a little bit more. Let me raise the bar a little bit more. And someone told you now that you have cancer. Wow. You're told that you have cancer. Now, you see, again, now your reaction to this knowledge will be much more frantic. You'll be really frantically trying to deny it. It can't be. Maybe we should get another test. Maybe we should get another opinion. Let's ask another doctor. Do some more tests. Maybe this is wrong. Maybe it could be something else. Okay, but why are you denying that? Why can't you just accept it like you accepted a common cold? What's the problem in accepting this knowledge? Because it comes with a burden that there's going to be difficulty in my life. There's going to be difficulty to me. And that burden makes it difficult for you to accept that knowledge. Some knowledges are hard. Now, let me raise the bar a little bit more. Let's say that you're told that you have terminal cancer and that you're going to die in 2 weeks. Yes, you're going to die in 2 weeks. It can't be. I'm so young. I'm healthy. I'm so young. How can I die? Maybe it's wrong. Why are you having a hard time accepting it? Because it's death. And it brings about this burden. And we don't want to accept it. We don't want to believe in it. But why are you doing that? I mean, isn't everyone going to die? Aren't we all going to die? But I'm young. Well, are you sure that you will only die when you live old? Just go to a children's cancer hospital and you'll see how many children are dying of so many diseases in so many ways. I mean, not just diseases in this, even accidents, whatever. There's no surety that we are going to live. So why are you not accepting it? Because you see, certain knowledges are hard. We don't want to accept it. We don't want to come to terms with it. We'd rather ignore it. We'd rather put it in the back burner. We know it's going to happen, but you know what? Let me not deal with it. And this is the problem with knowledge. Having knowledge but no conviction means that the knowledge is useless for you. It's the same as not having the knowledge. It's the same as being ignorant of it. And this is where we come to. Now, if you understood that, now let me tell you a truth. And the truth is that every tenet of Islam that has to do with your faith, every truth of Islam, whether it is Tawheed, belief in Allah, whether it is the belief in a prophethood and the message of Allah, and whether it's the belief of death and hereafter, every truth of Islam requires conviction. It is difficult to accept. Just having the knowledge is not enough. Allah is one. Muhammad is the prophet of Allah. These things, saying it is one thing, but having conviction in it is what's necessary. And if you don't have conviction, then it would not matter. It would not matter. The knowledge would be just there, and it will be just like ignorance. It will have no effect in your life, no influence in your life. It will not make you do anything. In fact, that knowledge will just become a burden, and you end up hating that knowledge at the end when there's no conviction. So, my friends, let me give you some examples of knowledge that is hard to accept. Difficult. come to terms with, to be convinced about. Are you ready? Number one, for example, a fact. A fact, the fact is that if you don't spend your money and your wealth for Allah happily, meaning if you don't happily give to Allah, if you don't happily give in Allah's way to the masjid, if you don't happily give your money there, you will happily give your money to shaitan. Yes, you will spend in his way and you will be happy spending in his way. You'll be like, but Moulana, I mean, me not giving charity is one thing, but why would I spend on Satan? It's evil. Why would I do that for? You see, that's the law Allah made. You will do that. Allah will put your life in such a way that if you don't give it to Allah, Allah will make you give it to someone else, to evil, Satan. And that money is going to become a noose on your neck in hellfire. It's difficult. See, it's difficult for us to come to terms with it. It's hard. These are things that are difficult to understand. Let me give you another example. You know, it is said that if a person disrespects his parents, talks loud to them, talks or acts disrespectfully in front of them, then that person's life will automatically be shortened. The life here in this world will be cut. It will be shortened. It's like smoking. You know, you smoke, it says 6 seconds every puff, it's gone, finished. That's it. Every time a person disrespects his parents in this life, Allah is going to shorten his life. That's it. So you see, a lot of youngsters die, and a lot of it has to do with them being disrespectful to their parents. Allah cut their life short. That is the way that it happens. Allah cuts their life short. Okay, now if you heard that, you're going to change your mind and say, you know what? I will not be disrespectful to my parents. I will be respectful. I will repent to Allah, and I'm going to be good from now on. Very good. You made a great decision to change and to become good and respectful to your parents. But now the issue is, and the fact is, that the life that you lost is not coming back. But how can that be? I want that life. I mean, I don't want my life to be shortened here. I'm sorry. What's lost, is gone. The damage is done. The damage is done. You cannot have that. And this is how it's difficult to accept knowledge. Because accepting it means there's a burden on it. Now, let me give you a historical example. And then I'm going to bring you back to our times. All right? Historical example is from Imam Ali alayhi salam. Because these are the days of his shahadat, so I'm giving an example from Imam Ali. So we understand this. Imam Ali, as you know, is the city of knowledge. Meaning that when he speaks, he's speaking from actual fact. He's not speaking because of emotions or he has an opinion. He's speaking from the knowledge that Allah has given him. So his knowledge is solid. Nothing is going to make it. You can just believe in it and know it that this is Imam Ali who's saying it, and that's it. So Imam Ali was on his way to the Battle of Siffin. To the Battle of Siffin. He was on his way to the Battle of Siffin, and when he got there, when he came there to the battlefield, when he came to the battlefield, Imam Ali uh, looked at that, and he spoke of that. He was there. Uh, he made a stop in Karbala. He made a stop on his way. He stopped in Karbala. So Imam Ali went to Karbala before Imam Hussein did. And he went there for a stop. Some of his soldiers were with him. And when he went there, he got off the horse. He started to play with the sand in that place that was there. He was playing with the sand, and as he played with the sand and started crying, Abdullah ibn Abbas came to him because all the soldiers were looking at Imam Ali, who was their commander in chief, and said, Abdullah ibn Abbas said, Mawla, what are you doing? Their soldiers are looking. They might think that something happened to you. What's going on? So Imam Ali made an announcement there. He announced that uh, my son Hussein is going to be killed here. He's going to die here. My son Hussein is going to be killed here. So the soldiers heard that. Everyone was like, here at this place, at this point? So yes, at this point, he pointed it out. Now, they all got knowledge from this. But one particular soldier who was there with Imam Ali, he did not believe what Imam Ali said. In fact, he was so outraged by what Imam Ali said that he told his companion who was next to him, he says, did you hear this guy? Did you hear this liar? He is lying to us. He doesn't know the future. He's just playing a game with us. This is just a game he's playing. And I'm going to prove that he's wrong. I'm going to prove that he's a liar. This is a soldier of Imam Ali talking about Imam Ali, saying that I'm going to prove that he's a liar. And so what he did to prove him as a liar, he put something that was in his pocket, some item that he had, and when Imam Ali left that place, he went there, dug a hole, and he put that item inside that hole. He said, I'm going to prove that he's wrong. Well, anyway, so they went forward. The Battle of Siffin happened. The the hold on, I want to show that the Battle of Siffin happened, and the battle went on for 1 year. That person, obviously, after 1 year, so many things happen, and people forgot that incident, and he also forgot that incident. So he goes where? He goes back and he settles down in Kufa, and in Kufa, he lives there. He gets the news in Kufa that Imam Ali's son Hussein has been killed in Karbala. And he was like, what? Yes, Hussein has been killed in Karbala. He was killed over there by Yazid's army. Like, what are you saying? What do you mean? Subhanallah. What do you mean by that? This and that. So he went there. He went to the spot. I don't know if you all have been to the spot where Imam Hussein was killed. It's different than his grave. His grave is different, and the spot where he fell from the horse and he was killed is different. So he asked the people, where did Hussein die? They said he died over here at this spot. So he went there and he started digging at that place. And when he dug that place, he found that item that he had put there to prove Imam Ali is wrong. He just looked at that and says, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. You mean that he was right? That this was the truth? You see, my friends, he heard knowledge from Imam Ali himself, but the knowledge has no effect on him. It had no influence on him. He was just ignorant with the knowledge that he had from Imam Ali. So, knowledge just by itself is not what makes us act and increase our willpower. It is conviction that is necessary. We need to convince ourselves of that knowledge. We need to put it in us that it is the truth. It is the truth. Otherwise, many of these we know, many things we know, but how many of us are influenced by that? How many of us know that Imam Mahdi is in occultation and he is going to come back? How many of us know that? Uh, Subhanallah, we all know that. We all know that. This is very important. We know that, but are we convinced of that? Are we convinced of that? How much is that knowledge affecting our life, influencing our life? All right, brothers and sisters, now I told you I'll bring you back to us right now, to what we have right now. Let me tell you a story of your lifetime. Yes, a story that happened about 10 years ago. There was one Ashura about 10 years ago or so in Houston. And on Ashura, everyone is at the masjid, they're waiting for the majlis to start. They're all outside and they're waiting for the majlis to start and all these things. And Houston is one of those places, where you have speeches in different languages. It's a big place, the IEC in Houston. It's a big place. So you had all those things over there. I mean, people are waiting, and then all of a sudden, they see a Harley Davidson, a motorcycle, a guy riding a Harley. And this guy is blonde, very long hair, has tattoos on him. You know, he just rides into the parking lot with his Harley. And everyone's like shocked to see, our people when they see, American like that walking in, obviously they're thinking FBI or something, like that. So the some of them they went up to him in the parking lot and they said that, how can we help you? Is there anything that we can do for you? And this guy, you know, kid you not, this guy says, I'm here for the majlis of Imam Hussein. They're like looking at each other. You're welcome, come on in. And he came in. His name is Meyer. Now, I had the privilege of meeting him a few times when I went to speak. And in one of the conversations that I had with him, I asked him, so tell me, Meyer, about yourself. Where do you live? He said, I live on a construction site. Oh, wow. You live on a construction site, you have no home or apartment? He said, no, I don't have a house. I don't have an apartment. I don't have any of these things. And I said, okay, why not? Why not? He said, I heard that Imam Mahdi is coming back. I heard that he's coming back. And I don't want anything to stop me from going to him. I sold my house. I sold everything I have. I have my ticket ready. I have the money ready. Whenever he comes, I want to go to him right away. I don't want anything stopping me. He says, I don't know what's wrong with these Shias. They think they live here like as if nothing is happening, that he's not coming back. Truly, that is, my friend, Meyer, obviously did not live to see Imam Mahdi. He died, he is buried in Wadi Salam in Najaf. That was his use this money to go to the Imam, and if I die before he comes, I want you to use this money to send me to Najaf and get me buried there next to Imam Ali. That's where I want to be. Tell me, how many of us have made arrangements to be with Imam Mahdi? How many of us have an exit plan that when he comes, this is my plan? Why don't we have it? Don't we know that he's coming back? Don't we know that he's going to reappear? What's stopping us from making arrangements to be with him? What is our plan? You see, this is conviction. Our problem is not the lack of knowledge. You all have enough knowledge. Shias have a lot of knowledge. Our problem is a lack of conviction in the knowledge that we have. And that is what brings about true actions. That's what brings about determination. That's what increases willpower. Truly, you know, this is what it is. Now, of course, it doesn't mean that you go and sell your house or do anything like that, but just how much are we convinced? It's very, how much are we convinced? You know, there was a person in Karbala who was waiting for Imam Hussein. You know, and it is said that this guy who says it is a businessman, he says that when I was a kid, I used to go with my dad around Kufa for business and all that. And there used to be a guy who used to live in a tent in the middle of nowhere. And we went one day, my dad goes to him and asks him, "What are you doing here? What are you doing in these places?" And after a lot of insistence, he told his story. He said that when I was young, I was with the Prophet of Allah. And there, one night, one day, the Prophet of Allah announced to us, declared to us about the shahadat of his grandson. And he said that my grandson is going to die in these places. He let us know about the coordinates of that place, where it is, and how it is. And from that time onwards, I've been looking for this place. And I have come here. And I've come here knowing that Hussein eventually is going to come here. And I want to become shaheed with him. This person made his way before anyone else did because he was convinced of what Rasulullah said. There are many others who heard what Rasulullah said, but they paid no attention to that. It just went from one ear out the other ear. Such is the state of knowledge. So if you want something that is concrete and you want to build that, you need to find conviction in the knowledge that you have, and then you will see that everything that is about you is going to change. Your perspective is going to change. Your life is going to change. Your priorities are going to change. So many things are going to change when you find that conviction and be convinced of the truth that Allah has sent down. That's it. I will end over here. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give you all the tawfiq and the blessing to be on the right path, to give us the wisdom to understand His guidance. So we have certain, I guess I'll take a question or two. If anyone wants to ask a question. Okay, I just want to clarify that the previous comment made by the speaker was not meant to imply that everyone who dies very young must have been. Yes, of course not. You know, that's. But you see that one of the reasons that it happens is that Allah gives the example of that in the Quran. if you see the story of Musa and Qidr, and how Qidr kills the child, and the reason he gives is that Allah wanted to take away this child and give the parents who are good people a more respectful child, a better child. So this is something that Allah does. All right. So go on. If anyone wants to ask question, you can write it in the chat, or you can put it in. You can open your audio up. I guess that's how we do it.
Um, Thank you so much for your lecture, Sheikh Baig. If there are no more lectures, or I'm sorry, if there are no more questions, we're just at the time limit right now. Thank you so much. Oh, Amin Shahada seems to have a question.
Yeah, assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Thank you very much for the talk. I was wondering, sort of, what distinguished, because our topic is determination and azm. What distinguished the ulul azm prophets from just the normal prophets?
Yes, it is the extent of the conviction that they had in Allah, which led to them having sabr. Allah speaks about their sabr, but the secret of the sabr is conviction, meaning that they are convinced whenever Allah shows them a sign, they are yuqinun. Allah says they have certainty in the signs of Allah and in the messages of Allah. They have certainty in that this is the truth and this is reality. And anything other than that is just fake, is just a false. And hence that is what made their lives, if you look at their lives, convinced they could not see anything else because they knew that this is the truth. That is ulul azm. You see that they had that determination. They would not budge from the path and from that understanding. It wasn't there at all. Uh, I mean, a small example of that, once Imam Ali and Zubair were sent by the Prophet to intercept a spy was going from Medina to Mecca. So when they caught up to the spy, Imam Ali told Zubair that you go inside there and get the information the Prophet said the spy has. So Zubair goes there and interrogates the spy and puts him through all these things, right? But dejectedly, he comes out and says that I tried all methods and she doesn't have it. She doesn't have the information. And Imam Ali just looked at him and said, "What are you talking about? Is there something wrong with you?" When Rasulullah says that she has the information, she has it. How can Rasulullah be wrong? It is that, you see, that knowing that this is the truth, there's nothing other than this. That is what Ulul Azm had. The Ulul Azm Prophet had more than others.
Thank you.
All right, very good. Thank you, everyone, and may Allah bless you all, and inshallah, we'll see you all tomorrow.
Assalamu alaikum.